This is the If More Let's Divide podcast.
Yo, Charlie, guys, Charlie, what they happened? We are back again, and Charlie, second season, Charlie spark. We just spark. Fred, what they go on?
That's good, bro.
Hey, why today you make mellow?
I be your pink t-shirt. You mellow me, Charlie.
Yeah, Charlie. My vote influences my hood.
Oh, nice.
You know, yeah, and I wore it because of the person we're about to, speak to today. I've known him for a very, very long time. He's my guy. I was trying to recall how we met, but nothing came to mind. All I know is I know him, and I don't know.
You know, say that didn't happen. You are
Yeah.
like most of the people you
Yeah,
do.
because I feel if you etch how you start with someone in your mind, there's definitely going to be an end. Right?
That's true.
Yeah, this
never-
guy, I met him in 2022.
Yeah.
That's a start. That means there will definitely be an end, So I don't usually focus on the beginnings. I focus on the process,
Okay.
and it
Nice
flourishes.
one. I haven't actually thought about it. I never think about how I meet people.
Once you put a start on anything, there's definitely going to be an end.
Yeah.
Like if you say, "Oh, I start this thing 2021, 2022, start end. Charlie, this guy is my guy. He's into many things. And my T will tell you that he's also now into politics, but you might know him from the entertainment circles. Ladies and gentlemen,
Sir.
and all you behind the camera, help me welcome Baba Sadiq.
This can't clash, man. But I even don't know this can't clash.
Yeah, Charlie. How would you want us to introduce you? Baba Sadiq, or
Baba Sadiq is fine, but first things
Baba
first, I
Sadiq.
think I like your setup for you.
Oh, Charlie, thank you. Hey, the Don, the guru likes our setup.
You already know.
Hey,
The setup nice.
yeah, Charlie. Once you've said it,
That's a very homely feel. to
yeah,
it.
because you have been into these things for years. You have an amazing track record, and so this coming from you, Charlie, appreciated. Charlie.
Yeah.
So Baba Sadiq means your faith is Islam.
Yeah, of course. I mean, of course, it's not every Baba is Muslim anyway. I think that
Yeah.
Baba is a language that cuts across. Baba is a name that cuts across a lot of languages.
Yeah.
I mean, in Kenya, when they want to say father, they say Baba.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Baba is.
Yeah,
Hausa
me,
word
I
for
know
father.
Baba's meaning father, but I was gonna ask him that. Yeah.
Yeah, Baba means father in Hausa.
Oh, okay.
Godfather
Oh,
or the
okay.
big man,
Nice.
And in Kenya, it's the same. I think even in India, either they say Baba or they say Abba. So it cuts across. Either they say Abba,
wow.
Baba. It cuts across. But essentially means father in Hausa. And also because I was named after my granddad. And keeping up to the customs and respect
For the old
for
man.
ancestors. My parents couldn't call me his name.
Okay.
They had to call me what they called him, which is Baba.
Right.
So his name in actual fact is Abubakar Sadiq. In fact, every Sadiq is Abubakar. Every Abubakar is Sadiq.
Oh,
I see.
preach.
Yeah.
Education.
Yeah. So when you see names as
Yes.
Buba, Abuba, or
Abubakar.
Bubakar,
Yeah.
all of these things are Abubakar, and every Buba, Abubakar you see is Sadiq. And so once I was named Abubakar Sadiq, which is his name, and then they couldn't call me Abubakar Sadiq, then they gave me a name so they could call me at home Baba, and then
I have a little bit of beef with you, literally beef with you, because 2 years ago, during Sanla, you gave Gambino, you actually invited Gambino and myself. Gambino came, and I told Gambino to collect my meat for me.
maybe collect your
And-
job. so the people carry the
Yeah. Well, for me, I'm not religious, but I've always said that, and I've said it on my Twitter feed and all that.
Yeah.
if I'm to choose, I'll definitely choose Islam.
Yeah.
Because of a few things. One of the things being, and I'm not saying because of that, I would not. One of the things being how.
You should say no because of the opportunity to marry 4 wives.
Hey, the guy catch me.
The way they try to process it. I'm thinking, no, the guy they try be on the safer side.
They try find
But
nice
Baba,
way
Baba, it's your religion, right? But what's your take, or why does your faith? Why has it given the power to men to marry, the multiple wives?
Well, I mean, there's a history to it. I mean, the history, or so, almost all the texts in the Quran came as revelations to the prophets. I mean, his Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I mean, all of it came to him, and there were some instances where it came to him when questions had been asked by people, or when there were situations, and there was a revelation regarding what the solution should be. I mean, so this came during an era where there were a lot of wars, and so at every point in time, because men were involved in a lot of wars, some of them were married, and obviously some of them were also not married. So when they go to these wars and they die, the women, I mean, the widows or the women they leave behind must be taken care of. So there was a directive. I mean, born out of the revelation that His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam got, which is to essentially marry some of these women to be able to take care of them. Marry some of these women. So that was the initial principle that it was based on.
Yeah.
But then again, it is not a blanket statement of, you can marry 4 wives. No, there are conditions to it. And as to whether you can meet the conditions, it's a tall order anyway. But if you can meet the conditions, why not? A number of men do not meet the conditions anyway.
Some
Part
are
of the conditions
being
is
rich.
Well, not being rich, but to be able to love all the women equally.
Charlie.
Can you love all your women equally? By all means, you will love one person, another.
Yeah, I mean, it's like your kids and your mom. Like the love you have for them is totally different. Even though your mom brought you to this world, you might not love her as much as you love your child.
Yeah.
Like it's...
And interestingly as well, your mother, once they bond with your children, her grandkids, begin to love them more than
exactly.
That's another interesting
exactly. So how can your faith like put this point down, like loving each
it's
one
there.
of you?
I mean, it's there. It's in all the textbooks, and in terms of Islamic jurisprudence, the various different school of thoughts. I mean, beyond the Quran and the Hadith, which provide commentary on the directives that's in the Quran. And then there are school of thoughts from what we call the imams, the various different imams. I mean, so they are cited as references.
Okay.
And so they, within jurisprudence, began to explain and expand the conversation. So it is there. Almost every Islamic cleric who is well versed in these matters knows it. Almost every Muslim as well knows it, that one of the basic conditions is to marry, is to love all these women equally. That's one.
Is there like a limit to how many you can marry? Or
It's 4.
Up
to 4.
Yeah. Okay.
Up to 4. And so, I mean, you've got to, if you're marrying the 4 wives, the condition is that you should be able to marry, you should be able to love all of them equally, to such an extent that if you are having to provide a gift to one of them, you should be able to provide the same gift to all of them. So if in this instance, if you won't buy the BMW they outside, you will buy 4. If you will buy some expensive wax paint, if you buy the 4 for all of them, So there are conditions to it. It's not blankets, which makes it a tall order. And then again, you need to have a conversation with the woman. And the woman can actually opt to leave if she's not happy with the arrangement, particularly if the arrangement prior to the marriage was that this is what you're going to do. So you've got to carry her along
Yeah. So basically, you are committing a sin if, for example, you buy a high-end car for wife one and a low-end car for wife two.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, not a sin per se, but you would have, and also they call it kachi hakinta, which essentially means you've committed should I say a blunder or an error against her.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, and the such a blunder could be the basis for her deciding to work, for one of the wives deciding to work out of the marriage.
Wow, Fred.
Yeah.
So it's not walk in the park. Just that. It's,
So you can do two.
well, you can do two. I mean, if that's
But
what
Fred,
strength can
if,
allow.
even two, you can't love them equally. That's my thing.
That's why they tell you so say you don't go just do them because sake of you won't do them.
Yeah, if a lot of work.
Me until today, until like Sadiq came through, I thought that the main requirement is to be able to cater or to care for them. Not
But I've heard this before. I've had
Care for them is one of it.
conversation with
Obviously, if the point is if you can, but you know these things can also be subjective. I mean, we've had instances where there are women as well that are open to whatever conditions that's mutually beneficial to all parties. You know, and it may not, and obviously caring for them can differ from one person to the other.
Right.
Somebody's caring for them is providing two different houses, two separate houses, and managing it. Somebody is bringing all of them together in this one compound.
Okay.
You know, but lately, again, from a lot of experiences, a lot of young men that are considering polygamy are choosing to have separate homes. I mean, it's relatively peaceful.
capital intensive too.
Exactly. So the point is that, again, I mean, if you have money and you are well off and you can do this, I mean, you are easy does it, right? I mean, because I think there are some Christians or some people that we think are Christians that are engaging in a very popular McDan. I think he's already publicized the fact that he's
Polygamous,
polygamy and has got two wives.
Oh, wow.
But I think it's also a conversation that's been happening in the mainstream a bit more in the last few years. I think young men, because you see, for me, Ghana culturally, we pretend a lot.
Yeah.
So the polygamy they happen, whether it be formal or informal. So people are trying to find ways to be, like he said, make it more peaceful. Because the term side chick, you don't have Peking, you rent place, give them all these things. That's another whole
Please
family.
speak the Queen's English.
You know, you have
You want me to talk side chick?
you're engaging in like multi relationships with different women. You have a whole home for them. You have a kid or kids, and you're visiting them regularly. You're taking care of them. It's happening already. So maybe the conversation to formalize, they have some requirements like Islam has a structured way where you have to love them equally, and it might keep us actually more intact. People die, maybe now somebody won't kill somebody for property because he go talk, like sorry, excuse my pigeon. Mutombo will bring me back to the English, but you get what I'm saying.
In any case, I mean, culturally, Ghana and Africans, polygamy has been with us. I mean, for a long time. I mean,
It's our thing.
Aside the religion, and so beyond Islam, it's been.
You're right.
It's been, so if you go
Traditionally,
it's something that happens.
It's not even so far removed because I mean I know older men alive now who have multiple homes and multiple wives, and it's
there's a lot of them.
Charlie.
So, but I think that the conversation has picked up, particularly on social media, also because of what you would term as woke culture. The whole idea of the woke culture and the evolution of what's it called? What would I say? The evolution of feminism. And the whole conversation in and around enabling the woman or ensuring that we create a more just, inclusive, and equitable society. The conversation, because there's that alignment that, okay, look, we are at a point where we need to ensure that people that have been marginalized for so many years there's a conscious attempt to bring them at power, or there's a conscious attempt to ensure that everybody is treated equally. You know, and so now when you begin to expand the conversation into different areas, then you know it would begin to attract a lot of conversation, and particularly in this instance where this is something that has been going on for some time, where a group of people, whether they are traditional Africans or Muslims, have adapted to it, and there seem to be it's our culture, you know. Brought about again also by the religion, and so once you are beginning to expand the whole conversation about creating a more just and equitable society, and you want to apply it to everything else, including relationships, marriage, and all of that, you definitely would have some of these conversations. And it's always very interesting. I always like to sit on the fence to read what people say.
You know, the idea that there was a level of inequity, which, not to disregard what some women have been through, but the fact of the matter is that society has always been set up such that, unless in some of our traditional sense, it's not a broad brush thing I'm trying to paint, but this system has been such that when the man passes on, the inheritance is supposed to go to the nuclear family, the wife and the children, right? Traditionally, some of the extended family sometimes comes into the fray, and we've had
for major parts of our traditional setting, it goes to the extended family.
Exactly. So that's what things like PNDC Law 1 and things came in to correct and trying to adjust and all of that. But in the larger part of society too, Charlie, a man, your life basically is sacrifice for your family. You go work, you die, woman take your thing. If you marry again, that one, you know.
For me, right, what Sadiq is saying, you know, a man can marry, you know.
You don't be the party they like.
Why haven't we, or why isn't society, or why isn't religion giving the woman the same power, right, to also decide to be with multiple men?
It happens in Canada, other parts of the world.
Back in the day, our
even in
forefathers,
India.
even here, our forefathers back in the day,
For mothers.
For mothers, if there's a word like that. Our great grandmothers, they were doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Even they were doing polygamy or allowing
they were with,
or
there's a word for
there is this word for
husband.
Is it polyandry?
Polyandry,
polyandry.
Yeah, polyandry.
I think so. Charlie, these words be plenty.
Polyandry is what it is.
Yeah. So why are we not seeing it now?
It used to be the case. In actual fact, if you go back to a lot of tradition, that should be the basis for more reason why certain tribes in Ghana regard the children of the woman as family than the children of the man.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the basis of it, because then the idea is that it is only the woman that will be able to say exactly who the father of their children are.
Yeah. And to determine the DNA, the DNA is definitely.
You know, and so for a lot of traditional setup, if they want to consider one as true family, it should come from the women of your family instead of the fathers. So the Ashantis, for instance, say in Nadia.
Yeah. Maternal.
So
and again, when you go back, you would find out that even for some of the people that had risen to become chiefs or very prominent people in the society who came from a particular woman, they may have siblings, right, from the same woman, but with different fathers. There's been a lot of that instance.
But I think it's a confused world, because what you are saying is so true. I never say I'm from my father's hometown. I didn't even know my father, but we Akans, we are, matrilineal.
Yeah, matrilineal.
So if that's the case, why are we not rather bearing the surnames of our moms, but we bear the surnames of our fathers?
No, but the actual fact in Ashantis, you bear the surnames of your moms.
No, I've never seen.
Oh, check.
Really?
Check. Oh yeah, you could bear the surnames of your
Ashanti.
You actually can.
That's why they have.
But that's
there's a reason why
it's not common.
it's actually a practice. There's a reason why they have compound names. So the names is not. You would hear somebody have about 4 names. Where in the last few weeks, when the issue of the pastor that was cited in the double names,
the passport issue.
yeah. So apparently his name is Victor Kusibuat. The argument his supporters and himself made was on the basis of that practice, which is that even though his name is Victor Kusibuat, he has a compound name that he got from his mom's family.
Oh.
That which is it's not something they do, JMF. That was the argument they were making. And they based the argument on that practice. That yes, you could be called, what's your name?
Percy Oseapia.
Percy Oseapia. For your mom's family, you could have a compound name.
Yeah.
Also because maybe you were born on a particular day and you were named after some grandfather or anybody or anything like that. So you could have a compound name. That is also your name. And your mom would actually refer to you with that name.
Yeah. But that's
so a
also,
lot of this is grounded in the traditions of the.
But that guy had double identity. It's a crime.
It's a crime. In India, they try to.
But that also goes back to traditionally, your name should be able to lead somebody to your house.
Yeah.
Your doorstep.
Yeah.
And so that side of, because I know that sometimes if, like, let's say you're Ga, and your father is Ga and your mom is Ikuapim. Ikuapim is maternal. Ga is paternal.
It can go both ways.
So it can go both ways. So now the Ikuapims will name you, and the Gas will also name you.
Yeah.
And so that you'll be able to identify. Like, if for me, for instance, if you say my last name, anywhere in Ga, they will take you exactly to my house. Like, they know exactly where I'm coming from.
It's like the Omabos.
Yeah.
The Omabos obviously from Osu. But one of the the most prominent Omabo, Oye man.
Yeah.
Smarter than Sikyapim, from
Yeah.
what we understand.
Yeah.
And that's how he became a chief in what's it called in Nekropol.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
this is deep education.
Yeah. So these things exist, and it's true. I mean, like the guns. If you say you are Randolph and you are from Accra, they'll tell you you're probably from Osu. If you say you are Doona Hammond, they'll show you where you are.
Shandolph.
If you say you're Shandolph, they'll show you where you are. I mean, beyond the English names. Again, if you mention certain names, certain surnames. In fact, even their names, there are certain names when you ask, they'll tell you these names are names that are given by the people of Labadi.
Yeah.
There are some names I've forgotten. They'll tell you that these names, when you mention, they'll say, are you from Labadi?
Yeah.
When you hear the Botes, the Nibote, and Ananfio, and all of those things, they'll tell you either from Lungwa or Tishi.
Yeah.
Those areas.
Okay. Crazy.
So they've those things should be able to lead. In fact, even from Akan, there are certain names when you mention to anybody, they are Ufri Ahane Hanana, or are you from here?
Yeah.
Then if you say
Like
yes,
if you Ayi, the last name, so you know Ayibe. It was a guy who migrated to Eweland, and that's how they were able to trace him. Because a lot of times what happens with the Ghana culture also is it will be like, let's say we are 3 brothers, and it's time for me to become Wulomo. But the family favors you, and they take you as a Wulomo, which is a position, rank in society. Then I'll get upset. Then I'll migrate somewhere else, and I'll go and start my own family. So hence you have names like Anang Few, which means younger Anang. Because the Anang is an identity of a certain house. So the Few is to...
Freddie knows.
Yeah, so like you go here Anna Osu or Anna Labadi, then is
Wulomo, for do you Wulomo?
No, I go name the Wulomo, so say we go use them to the
Charlie, last question
but
before.
they run through your bloodline.
Yeah. My house, my house did take Wulomo.
Yeah, nice. Talking about the marriage, you mean if the marriage no they join me. So Sadiq, so you personally, are you gonna have 4 wives?
Currently, I have a wife.
So just one. Are you going to
Currently,
Kylie,
please listen to the English.
You want me to go give me broken bottles to catch up tonight for house?
Yeah, nice. Sadiq, you have been doing entertainment. You have been a media person. Like, we say your name and everybody basically knows you. Yeah. Like, how did you find yourself doing entertainment? Like, was it something you studied, or was it some passion? Like, how did you find yourself doing entertainment?
Well, at a point, academically I studied, a course or in an area that also relates heavily to the happenings in the entertainment industry. But I think I started off by just like everybody. I mean, liking music growing up, trying to rap at a point.
Hey, did you have a rap name?
What was it? No. At a point, they called me Fabulous. Still, they have some that look. There's a
traded home.
Yeah. So there's a couple of people that still remember say Fabulous.
Simple name. Simple
so
man can't.
Different names, yes.
Yeah.
So and then also getting involved in entertainment activities from secondary school, and then rather from secondary school, because you would know. As somebody from industry that the active users and patrons of entertainment content or entertainment across the world at every point in time is those between the ages of 16 to about 25. So that period, we're a bit active. Yeah. So very active person and liking what's happening and enjoying it. I got in touch with John Jermaine sometime around 2003.
Oh, wow.
Crazy. So John Jermaine was the one that ushered me into entertainment because he was a presenter on television, and then he took me in as his assistant, and so that gave me the opportunity to get close to the action at Metro TV.
At Metro, right?
Yeah. So at Metro TV, that's when because I was also very curious and like to learn. Yeah. I took the opportunity to learn and understand the production process, and so with time. I became a production assistant, from becoming his personal assistant to becoming a production assistant. And so that also gave me opportunity. And that was a period where a lot of the people involved in productions at Metro TV were properly trained people. And so they pass on some of these things to me. Right. And so from there, I kind of evolved. I went back to school at a point to study communications, which also heavily relates to the activities in the entertainment industry. And then he went back to industry, did a bit of advertising. After advertising, I actually even wrote, practiced journalism for a short while, then got heavy into production and becoming a behind-the-scenes person, working on projects for MTV, working on projects for Rockstar 4000 in Ghana, generally Viacom. And then, I'm doing some other productions. And so these things kind of built me up. And as somebody that also likes to read wide, somebody that's inquisitive and very curious, somebody that likes to develop and is ambitious. A number of the things were self-thoughts, reading, interacting with people that understand and know it, or being mentored by them. So these things kind of shaped me.
Okay.
Nice. I am from 2003 till now.
That's crazy.
20 years in the game.
Yeah, 20 years.
That's crazy. So which part of entertainment do you enjoy? Is it being at the forefront, or working behind, or being on camera, or like which part of entertainment?
Actually, for the working behind.
Working behind. Why? But I think on radio, you were on radio for a while.
Yeah, but I was on radio mainly as a pundit.
Okay.
I got on radio as a pundit, and even for that one, it was forced at the point. I had presented a show before, but I did it for a very short while, like a year. In a year, for one of the shows that I produced, I was executive producer of 30 Minutes, which is an entertainment show. I was a host for about a year and a half.
Why shy? Are you shy, or you don't like? Are you shy being in front?
Okay, so in the beginning, when I got close to John Jermaine, the idea was to end up as a presenter. But by spending a lot more time in the background and learning from all these guys and making things happen, I began to derive joy from that and making things happen. Right. So by the time I got the opportunity to present my own show, I knew at that time that I always belonged to the back. I was the guy to make things happen than the guy to sit in front of camera. So in that instance, I began to look out for people to give them opportunity for them. So there's a number of people that that got the opportunity to host the shows and things that I produce.
Yeah.
So after about a year and a half, I became the head of productions at Viasat One.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
And it was a personal decision to say,
I
listen,
do
this is what
remember.
I enjoy. I want to be focused on this. I want to ensure that we do it. I don't want to compete with my presenters for attention and hosting of shows. I want that to get out of my mind, entirely, so that I can supervise them and ensure that our executions are top notch.
Yeah. But Fred, and it's crazy, right? You go feed chop with Sadiq right now, right? This, be say, are they fattening head or anything? You go feed chop with Sadiq right now. You go job, maybe some event or something. If it hold in working Turkey, where you call him, at the come, Sadiq no go mind you. You go feel say Sadiq, you go shock, like you'll be shocked. Is this the same guy I just ate with? Like, he's a totally different human being when he's on the field.
I've got a production software.
Like, it's crazy because I have seen him at events where I call him and Tombo, I come. Yeah, so then maybe I am behind the gates. And I come. No, wait. You just wait. I come. 3 hours, there no come. Like, you see walking up and down, ensuring that everything is here. Yeah, Sadiq, has there been a moment where you have spent months or let's say years to plan an event and on the day, like, things don't go as planned? Has there been a moment, and how was the feeling like?
The most recent example was last year's 3 Music Awards.
Oh, was it the one you guys did online? Or
No.
then,
The one with the Black Sheriff opener.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah, we spent months putting that together. Doing all the dry runs. Like, it was one of the things I'd progressed and evolved as a proper showrunner. All the experiences from the international organizations that I worked with, the productions that I worked in, and so, I've become the guy. Yeah. And so essentially, we're raising the bar. I was like, look, I watch the show. It got to a point when I watch the American shows, if I don't enjoy them. Like, even if I watch the behind the scenes, except in instances like the Super Bowl where but it got to a point the American award shows no, they treat me again. I was actually watching the South Korean American award shows.
Oh wow!
South Korean American shows. So the guys could create an entirely new technology because they want to be able to flip screens on set. Like, they won't flip the screens, like the screen deal, but it be door. So you can start a performance from backstage. Like, whatever you see in front can be at the back on the same panels. Wow. Yeah, these guys.
I mean, they have the tech.
And I go watch, pause, stop, watch, stop, watch. How did these guys do this? I go take my time. So it got to a point I was trying to even understand the principle behind some of the technology they were creating for events. These guys could create like a proprietary software for a particular event, and they finish. That's it.
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah, the South Koreans don't joke. You think the BETs and the Grammys is what it is? Forget. Watch the South Koreans.
Have you ever cried because some events didn't go well? Did you go and hide in some?
Naturally, for me, I know they cry. I don't know that.
You don't cry.
I think it be the Fadama. I mean, they
make you macho.
Yeah, they make you. Charlie, it toughens you up to a point where, when it happens, like, Charlie, live to fight another day. Yeah, that kind of thing. So I know they cry. I don't know. It's hard for me to say. No, I don't cry. I know they cry, even though I can be, and I get over things very quickly. Oh, I get over things.
Really?
I'm not one to spend
millions
over.
Spending millions or thousands of dollars on a show.
Regardless, I'm not one to brood over things for a long time. Because for me, there can be only one outcome out of two. It can either be a win or a fail or a lose. Regardless of it, the experience is the value I take. So for me as Baba Sadiq now here, I'm the total sum of all my experiences, whether it was experiences of losing or experiences of winning. And so and sometimes you cannot help it, and sometimes certain things makes you actually, like last year, for instance, did everything, did all the dry run, ran the whatever. But one thing that failed us, and some of it came from industry. The group that actually rented the OB van for us knew it had a peculiar problem. They didn't say. They wanted the money. The deal was done.
What's an OB van?
Outside broadcast van.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the group that rented the outside broadcast van for us knew it had a problem. And so you could do a 2-hour, 3-hour dry run with it. You could test the cables, everything, and get everything all right. But they knew that the problem would show up after 2 hours. They knew it was a condemned situation they had.
Wow.
Yeah. And so this is the case where everything is intact, everything's all right. We're done the dry runs. We're done. We're spent weeks, months planning it, scripting things, making things happen. And one more time we're elevating it. And so if you realize that 3 music, for instance, what do we do? And I say to everybody, you will not at my level now, you will not just come on my stage and do what you want. No. What we are selling is we're not just selling the event, we're selling an experience. An experience, every little thing, we're intentional about each and every time of what you show. So we would script the entire performance, we would do the styling, we would produce the entire performance, including going out of our way to find whatever props, dancers, reimagining the sound, getting a sound team that we would want to work with to reimagine it and everything. Look, there's a whole lot that we will do, end to end. All you have to do is show up for rehearsals, show up for dry runs, and then show up on time, and we've got a show.
Wow.
That is us. That's how. That be how we do them. Wow. And so we have done all of these things, and then show was about to start. And last year we also started. We started we innovated with the beginning of the show. You know how everybody does the red carpet. We wanted to be different.
Right.
So we had a pre-show.
Okay.
So we had an hour pre-show. Went nice, good, sweet. Showtime is on. We're about to go live. OB van and the system shut down.
Oh, I saw that on Twitter.
And the tweets.
Yeah.
Like the system just shut down. We going in. Like, what's going on? Because everything was running fine. And the crazy part about it is that the same group that rented the OB van, ordinarily after payment and everything, supposed to have a technical guy on standby. The guy has gone home to sleep. Fortunately, we knew the person that designed the OB van. It's a high-tech OB van, and so it needed to be maintained in a certain way. We knew the guy that he's actually a principal
the guy from here. I think I know him.
So then we reach out to him, and then he says, do this. He spent time with us on the system, trying to get it working. Made some few calls, and then after about 40 minutes,
that's
the system shut down.
So of your time.
The first few minutes of figuring it out before we called him, plus the 40 minutes, was about 1 hour, 20 minutes. When show was supposed to begin at 8 o'clock till 12, our show began well over 10 o'clock.
Damn.
The unfortunate part of it, so I was hurt, but in such a situation, you needed to quickly get over it because showtime is on. We need to move. We need to produce the show. The show needs to happen. You need to pick up the pieces and make it work. We did that. And so when we're done with the show, I just didn't want to say anything to the team members again. Because I was not in the mood to entertain. So I just drove home. Only for me to wake up the next morning to see people praising us and say, "Hey, Charlie, the show." I was like, these guys.
Yeah,
see the team we see here, but I understand.
Pictures. I saw pictures and the stage and everything was.
I understand.
Crazy
They were not close to the action to see what we saw. Or they would just know that the show delayed. Yeah. But when the show started, it was it was a good show.
Okay.
That's it. That's all.
Give it up.
But in you guys' industry, do you get recourse for something like that for the people who rented the OB van to
Charlie.
you?
Yeah, you could get recourse for it. But again, you could do better. A number of these things is also relationships, and so even when you pick it up, you could negotiate out of it one way or the other. You know, and so, but it was bad.
Yeah.
It was bad, and I knew right after that particular event there were a number of productions that had happened that they didn't have to go with that van. I'm not sure anybody's renting that van now because of that. Everybody knew from that experience that all these guys, you know. But that van is expensive. It was well designed. It was one of the technology of that van was high, you know. But now there are a lot of, so now what we did was that, and again, like I said to you, every experience is good. Good or bad. I mean, every experience is good. Now, it was from that instance, from that experience, I knew that I needed to now put together my own production desk. Instead of, because, I mean, prior to OB Vans, we're still doing live shows. We do live shows from wherever. You know, you need to design it and put it together. And then you need a mobile studio. And so we invested in one. And then now going forward, anytime we have our own show, quickly we can set it up and make it work. No wahala. So now we don't have to resort to that. The only thing we could do would be just, satellite transmission and you're good to go.
Yeah. Talking about events and vans and tweets and all that, this guy is my former boss. I have worked with him for a number of years, an amazing, cool man. And you were also working with him at Muse, Rudy Kwache.
Yeah.
What does he mean to you, or who is he to you?
Rudy is my mentor. I mean, a number of the top-notch experiences I garnered under my way to this point were made possible by Rudy. You know, I met Rudy for the first time in 2004. At the time, he was also a young programs director at the then Choice FM.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd gone there to look for a job. I didn't get the job immediately, and of course, because at the time I didn't know what was going to happen in the background. But we kept the relationship, and sometime around 2006 or 2007, he had become the country representative for MTV in Ghana, and so there are a number of MTV. This was the period or the days where Ghana's spot on the cultural scene in Africa was like top. Was almost like the number one slot.
Really?
Behind South Africa or Kenya.
Okay.
Even Nigeria was
back then,
playing catch up at the time. This is 2006. 2007. There was no activation by MTV in Africa without Ghana. Also because MTV had come into Africa owing to the growth of genres like hip life and what hip life had become to young people all the times, and what hip life had done to Ghana in terms of producing talent that had gone on. And because the UK was a melting pot for different African what's it called, pop culture, and the Ghanaians had become the influencers in the UK.
Right.
It made us that focal point.
Yeah.
You know, it made us that focal point. So MTV couldn't come to Africa for any activation, making the video or any of their projects without a Ghana leg.
Yeah.
You know, and that was a period really was also very active and really would fight for some of these things to come and would make a very strong case for it as well. You know, and so from 2006, I started getting the opportunity to work on making the video. MTV came to do and making the video tiny, if you remember.
Yeah.
Yes, with
Fred was then in America. So.
Yes, with Go Green. With Go Green.
But not tiny, so.
Go Green was the top music video director.
Yeah.
Go Green came in, and then Go Green came to run that particular project. He was the main resource. A couple of behind the scenes guys were part of it, from producers, Manche, the famous people, the famous films, the two brothers, OG and Gio, and Step. A couple of us were all part of the project. I produced the project for MTV, so it gave me the opportunity to also learn and acquire some experience again. And then from there, we're almost like MTV basis standby team in Ghana for whatever they want to work on. I mean, we got the opportunity to work on it, and it was quite regular at the time, you know. So this is really, and then also gave me the opportunity. And in working for MTV and working with him generally, the number of very good experiences that came in, things that gave me the opportunity to learn, soak in as much, build my confidence, and build my network, and basically expand the frontiers. This was Rudy, you know, and we always share ideas. I mean, he'll be the person I'll bounce off a lot of the ideas. Until now, even Charlie, what should they think about this politics? What should they think? He will be the person you bounce off a lot of the ideas.
Yeah, Fred, we have to have him on the pod. Charlie, amazing.
Literally doesn't like to talk.
Yeah. I know.
Even then, Rudy has always Charlie. You won't make the thing work.
But me, I know how I'll get them. I will get them.
Well, good luck. I know.
I know how I'll get them. I know how I'll get them. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you guys, like the venture that you were into, Muse.
Oh, but prior to Muse,
you guys had done
prior to Muse and working for Rudy as his assistant. I worked with him with MTV. Again, when he went to multimedia, Joy FM, and he had become the first and only innovations manager at the time. That role was an ambitious role. I mean, he took me along with him, and then when he moved to Hits FM and became programs director, at a point he took me along with him to Hits FM as well. Again, within the same multimedia setup. And then when he left Hits and went to this South African agency that had popped up, the music entertainment agency, Rockstar 4000 as well. He took me on in, and that's where we got the opportunity to work on the 1/8 project for Airtel. You know, Kelly plus all these 8 African artists that collaborated on the song.
Oh yeah.
For Hands Across the World. You know, which was the song or the project that was used to rebrand Zayn to Airtel in Africa. It was an Africa-wide project, so that project took me to Burkina Faso, Niger, Chad, Mali, and then also the Ghanaian leg where we produced the projects. You know, for some of the countries, for instance, I was young at the time. I was barely 24, 25. I got the opportunity to, when I was about 25, 26, I got the opportunity to actually supervise this project. When I was in Nigeria, the entire project. When I went to Burkina Faso, same. When I went to Chad, same. You know, and so by the time I came back, I was an entirely different person altogether.
Crazy.
And Rudy would tell everybody, it's like, look, if you're looking for a more younger version of me, that's it. Because I understand him, he understands me. I mean, I could, if we're working on any project, there's no time for second guessing. I could just by looking at Rudy know exactly what he wants me to do. It's like that.
You made mention when we were talking
obviously when he worked on Afro Nation as well. And he was the
Afro Nation was big.
The first one.
Yeah, the first one was.
I mean, he got me on to.
The second one was he part?
Yeah. He executively produced it as well.
Nice.
But I couldn't work on it because I was scheduled to produce the Wilderland the second year running, and then things didn't go according to plan. But yeah,
I know. Are we going to see the Wilderland come back?
Yep. It's coming back stronger. Yep, it's coming back stronger.
What's the Wilderland about?
It's a music festival.
Okay.
But it's not your typical music festival. They go out of town. You know, Charlie.
We went to the world.
Yeah, Ghana isn't just Accra.
That's true.
Yeah, so they take it outside. I think the first one was in Shire Hills.
Yeah, it was in the reserve, forest reserve. It was in the middle of the forest reserve. From the entrance to the middle of the forest reserve, it was an hour.
So it's basically like a festival on tour.
Yeah.
It's like Glastonbury.
Yeah.
It's like Coachella. Glastonbury. They go, they sleep in tents. They are there for 3 days. Yeah. Every day for the 3 days, there are headliners performing, and there are different activities.
Okay. But you change the location every year.
Yeah, the idea was to organize it at the Shire Forest Reserve. That was going to be our venue.
Okay.
After year 1, we ran into problems with the Forestry Commission that, I think they didn't understand the concept that was ahead of its time. And what they saw was different from what we think it is.
Okay.
So we couldn't have that agreement for the second year. It was too close to the time, and so we called it off. But returning this year, likely that we're going to another fantastic venue. The only thing is that we're still together with the team, still thinking whether we should do it a December event or we should make it a September event.
Let's come back to the entertainment scene in Ghana, who is getting it for you when it comes to music? Who is doing it? Who is getting most of the points checked?
A few of the young ones coming up are getting it. You know, even if you did not check out all the boxes, you could see from the initial steps they take that they are getting it. They are headed somewhere. You know, there's just another layer that should happen for them. You know, and you could see that. So some of them, if they are handled by people, insightful and experienced individuals or group, they could turn them into a whole thing altogether. It's the kind of match made in heaven kind of situation that we're looking for now.
When it comes to music, right, in Ghana, like which one of these artists is making it for you? Their
I like how
structure,
Stonebwoy is moving.
Charlie, it's
particularly
crazy.
the last 1.5 years.
It's crazy.
I like how
It's
Stonebwoy is
crazy.
moving. I like the ambition. I like the drive. I like the energy. And every day when I see his moves, I keep praying for him that this thing should succeed.
Yeah, it should.
It
It
should
really
succeed.
should.
I'm really rooting for
Stone
Stonebwoy.
Boy is my guy.
Everything that I'm really praying and rooting for Stonebwoy for every move that is made in the last 1.5 years to pay off and to create, because I know if it pays off, prosperity will be kind to him. He'll be the guy that sought to challenge the status quo and sought to go to great lengths to making the most out of music from a global perspective.
Why?
And they're providing that template for industry.
But
They always must be a Stonebwoy, forward-looking, progressive, and looking to really, you know.
About why do you think he is reaching these heights?
It's ambition.
Okay.
I mean, ambition means different things to different people, but I mean, you could see that there's something. There's something he's got. I don't want to say his guts, but there's
no guts, no glory.
Yeah, that's my term.
Yeah.
But there's a certain positive excellence that emanates from within him. You know, you could see, and so it makes him restless. It makes him. It makes him restless. It makes him bored with the status quo. Particularly when he's been there, seen it, and done that. So quietly, even when I'm busy with politics and running around, I notice some of these things because it's the things that you would wish. I know how difficult, expensive, and how frustrating it can be.
Okay.
And that explains why I almost every day when I see his moves continue to pray and wish that it pays off.
Same.
You know, I'm always praying and wishing that all these moves pays off so that it can become a template for industry. I've also seen from a talent perspective, Black Sheriff. That guy, it's a god working.
Nice.
He's a reincarnate. You know, a lot of people do not know the story about him, about one of his grandfathers being an old traditional Kologo player. You know, who didn't achieve full potential, but knowing and talking to him and learning from his experience, I just think, Charlie, the guy just reincarnated. It comes from within. It's effortless. It's a lot of factors. It's grace. It's talent. It's good-naturedness. It's a lot of things. It's a lot of things. And that's why I say that, I mean, some of the things, I don't know if he himself, it comes from within.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that I was talking about with someone in terms of the positive excellence that emanates from him. You know, the same as Blacko from a talent side.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if he himself sometimes even understands what he's writing, understands where he's headed. You know, it looks on the deeper level, it's spiritual. It feels like it. It feels like somebody that was destined to
do this.
Somebody that was chosen by whatever ancestors, gods or whatever, to be able to bring us to this particular point.
Dope.
You know, so the way I see him is totally different from I think the way everybody.
I mean, I
sees him.
felt a certain energy from, and I've been asking different people what they think about Black Sheriff, but from my experience with music, I think there are some people, my brothers would tell you, like at home when we talk about, it's one of the funniest things I think I say is the spirit Baba. And the artists that get to a certain point in their careers, when you're listening to them, you feel like there's something more to what they're saying.
Like
so
Kanye.
maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I feel like Blacko, when I heard his record, I was like, okay, this guy is talking to a type of Ghanaian, a particular Ghanaian.
Like what comes out of him is deep within.
Yeah.
It always comes out of some thought process. The guy is always quiet in his corner. He reflects. He's a very reflective person. I mean, when you sit with Blackwell, all the times that it's come to come, even when you're talking to maybe Aubrey, he's just sitting quiet and just.
But even the honesty in
playing
his
with
music, you have to see this a very reflective person. When he talks about, you know, his auntie, him going wayward, but being confessional and honest and saying he knows what he's doing is not right, but he still got to do what he got to do and blah. I felt it. I was like, yo, okay, this guy, I can mess with his music.
And that's why I say there's that thing. That guy is just destined to break a lot of the status quo that we've seen. You know, and for him as well, I what I consistently pray for him is that God's protection, the guidance, and most importantly, to light up his path. Because I can feel it from the onset, and that's why for any time when we've had to work on any project, it's been a certain mutual connection in terms of what we're looking to do and how that thing turns out.
I see.
You know, so I feel that, you know, with him.
Okay.
He's then what's the definition of a soothsayer or a sage or whatever? He's a preacher. He's a lot of things. And the more reason why I pray for that protection and God guidance is there's so much more in the mind and the heart of somebody as young as Blacko. He's under 23, and so far he's got so much more in him that is not obvious to the ordinary.
Dope. What's with you and Shatta? You know, because I've seen him go at you, you know, a couple of times.
We always make up. And
you guys, you know, banter, argue, fights, then you come back.
Again, also because maybe I try to understand, or I try to breaking down from a very deeper perspective. You know, I do not look at Shatta as Shattawale. I look at the child that came from a broken home, whose mother left him, was with his dad, had to go through a whole lot with the dad, had to come out in the street very early. And if you know his early days in growing up, this is a well-sheltered, well-taken care of kid, 7th grade princess, who at a certain point, due to disagreement with his father during his teenage years, is trusted into the street to fend for himself and be with everybody else.
Wow.
It's these things can mess with your mind. It can turn you into a whole thing altogether. It can turn you into a whole thing altogether. You know, and forget about everything else. If you know him and breaking out, sometimes I feel we sit and they talk. Then I say something to him. He say, "Hey, how did you know?" I said, "No, I just to talk to you. I just did think about it. It just did come to me." You know, and so again, even for him, in the same ways that I've relating the case of Black Hole and Stoneboy, he always would have to dig deep. When he's not inspired to do anything, or when he's not dug deeper, the thing no go. But if he digs deeper and he looks himself in the mirror and say, this thing will pick. Nothing you put in his, no impediment you put in his way will stop him. He has to come from there. In the last 2 to 3 years, I say to people that thing where he digs deep, maybe he's bored and he probably achieve his self-actualize related to the music and is looking elsewhere.
Yeah.
So the motivation to dig deep in the ways that he's dug deep and come out of the underworld, that's no day anymore. But if he is able to tap into that inner belief and find the motivation to tap into it, and it always takes something. It always takes something, a force that he has to go against. Because he's got a spirit that makes him go against things because he survived things, go against things. And I can't speak for him. I cannot talk about how, growing up and the mom, the dad, and all the familial issues and everything. I think these are very, very private matters that should be left to him to talk about. But anybody that would know him and be able to understand this, look, the guy has lived at a certain level of his life and had dug deeper to not only prove to the world, but to prove primarily to his father, to prove his father wrong at a certain point. That I will make him. And I go prove to you, say I'm not like what you think. He's gone through a lot of experiences, even from a parenting point, that had messed him up.
But is he cool with his dad?
Well, he's cool with his dad.
Oh, okay,
now,
okay.
I don't know. Eventually, I don't know. But Shatta is cool with that. He's always have this on and off. Shatta is a younger version of his dad. If anybody that knows his dad and know him, the two of them.
You have to help us get him on the pod.
Yeah, well,
Shatta
so that's why
Shatta
for Shatta.
No, Shatta.
That's why for Shatta sometimes when you do the thing, you do. Look, he's the guy that will act publicly and do all the things he will do. Behind the scenes, he will feel call and tell you, say, Charlie. When he's in that reflective mode, if he for cry to you, self, and tell you, say, he make sorry, and you for do things and help him, and show you in vulnerability, you go do. Because he comes from within. When he's in that vulnerable state, a lot of the aggression and the things and all of those things are things he's had to put it up to overcome his vulnerabilities. Because walking out there's a lot of vulnerability that he's vulnerable, and he's been vulnerable from the point where he's had to go through that experiences very early. And so at a certain level, he's had to live to prove the dad wrong. He's a whole book, a whole movie working, it's a whole documentary running. It's the kind of thing where if Netflix gives us $10 million, it will go well. I just say if you hear say Charlie, it is an opportunity to make some $10 million from it. Hey,
Shatta, my guy.
You go find that motivation.
So
he's motivated by money.
So Sadiq, on your phone or on your sound system in the house,
Shall I listen to
who
music
are
chair?
you listening to?
I listen to music chair. In fact, for last week I was hoping to listen to Stoneboy's the new album, and then listen to the videos timeless because I've seen some of the commentary one. But I don't even have time to listen to 10 seconds.
You don't get time now.
But that's the thing. It's normal. Because I've moved from the active music user stage. I'm not in the active music user stage anymore. So I could go months without, and if you want to calculate the total hours that I've spent on listening to music, it'd be less. If I'd lately said, I go tune off the radio and just drive quietly, trying to reflect and think. I'm driving, but I'm thinking. Because there's so many things, and in fact, lately even I do not even enjoy driving. I've got a couple of my
Boss,
boys and everything.
boss,
Oh no, I know they
boss.
enjoy them.
Yeah.
I've got a couple of the people that
Yeah.
I just want to sit and then making my notes,
Dope.
making my calls, or trying to do some work here or there.
Yeah.
Life in the Zongo. You have lived in Fadama. Can I call it a Zongo?
Oh, Fadama is a Zongo.
Yeah, you have lived in Fadama, or you have.
It's a prayer man Zongo.
Yeah. You know,
Spicy.
Charlie, share Fadama share. The swaggy day there. Don't joke. Yeah. Me, I go buy watching for Fadama every single week. Like you know, like how has Fadama shaped you?
Oh, a lot of my mental toughness obviously came from Fadama. Because it's a place where you have to learn not to lose. Yeah. You're on your own. Yeah, Charlie. Because if you go out there in the street, the thing is, you go out there in the street. Your mother go send you. You go there outside to go buy the thing. You will go makranta. You will go school. You will go play ball. It's a way of life. You for be out. And 1-2 times when you're out, some young boy they give you pressure. Charlie, every corner. The guy just won't give you pressure. They sit you up and stop. You've got to dig deep and fight back. Yeah, if you fight back, look, once in a while when you fight back, even if you lose, it sends a signal. Yeah. That the next time you try it, it will beat you. Yeah. And in most instances, if they bully the guy a lot more times, and it gets to that point where the guy fights back, you just have to take a cue from that, because the next, if he's stuck deeper and is motivated to fight back, it means the next time he will beat you. Yeah. So that processing toughens you up. Yeah.
Charlie, some short boy shake me for Fadama early 2000. Small boy, you. Call ya my boss. Soon says, "Yeah, then the guy slap me." Where are they there? Charlie, we go play ball. With a small boy, like I sure say then I grow past some point and never go forget.
Why?
1990s, the 90s.
Why approach you like that?
Because now something they happen way like me at all.
So you see that like the process, the thought process is that you quickly would have to learn to fend for yourself and to manage yourself out there. Just so you can live life in a particular way. Right? So it day on your mind. So in any instance when you go out there and anybody wants to show you that because you're conditioned to fight back and be defensive by probably attacking first, and sometimes it's a technique, being defensive as well as attacking first. So like the bully that has bullied you at a certain level, when he tries to bully you, you don't actually even spend time. You just show him what time is it, like, then So good or bad, there are some positives from some of these things. It's not a case like that anymore in say Fadama, but it toughens you up. A lot of things are changing. A lot of things are changing.
But I still get my wache from Fadama, and I'll forever get my wache from Fadama.
What does the Zongo refer to? Is it like ghetto, like
no, it means strangers' quarters.
Strangers' quarters.
The Zongos in Ghana is made up of a lot of tribes that are descendants of other tribes from within West Africa. So when you trace the lineage of the houses there in Nigeria, when you trace the lineage of the Zabarmas there in Nigeria, when you trace the lineage of the Gaos, the Songhai, the Zabarmas, Gaos are from the bigger Songhai Empire. Okay. Big as it is, flamboyant, and when you trace the lineage of the Fulanis, they're scattered all the way from Sudan, Chad, come all the way to Kenya. The Maasais are their cousins. Come all the way to Nigeria. They are in Ivory Coast. They are in different places.
I see.
When you want to trace the lineage of the Wangaras or the Julas or the Ligbis, you would realize that they are within the West African sub-region. If you want to trace the lineage of the Kotokolis, the Chambas, the...
Sadiq, why his history? Did you do history in school?
No, I spent time understanding... Because
wow.
When you go in Zongo, there are different... Look, my next two, I'm in between the houses. Then I grew up where my house is in Fadama. The house before my house. the kids that grew up, they were Kotokolis. So Alassane and Fuseni, their brother Gado, may so rest in peace, and their brothers, all of them were Kotokolis. The house before them was Abarmas. The house after me were Gaos or guys.
Okay.
And in growing up, we are all together. It didn't even matter to us where you came from. Like, we're all together, we eat together, we play together.
What language were you guys communicating?
Hausa, because Hausa is like a common language that where we all could communicate in.
I see.
Also because the evolution of Zongos and the way they've moved at a certain level, Hausa became a dominant language also due to trade at a certain point, also because it was easier. And when the Hausas came, so what the Hausas would do, because they were mainly Muslims, the Hausas and the Wangaras, they were traders. And so they had caravans.
Okay.
So when they moved to a certain point, there are two things they will set up. When they move, once they will stay and they will have children, there are two things they will set up. They will set up a mosque and a madrasa, which is a school for learning the Quran. Yeah. And the way, so when they come in, wherever you are, once they create the mosque and learning the Quran, they're going to teach you in their language. Okay. In this case, Hausa. So when they kept on moving along their lines and doing that, they brought in Hausa. And then there was a certain point as well where, because of the West African frontiers, soldiers, a chunk of them were taken from Nigeria. Some of them were Hausas, Fulanis, and when they came, they were in Ghana, in different parts of the country. And they also spoke Hausa. There were intermarriages, and so it kind of spread. So it kind of became the easiest language to communicate in. Because maybe in Zongo, my Gao neighbor may not understand my Wala or Wangara or Banda language. Okay. Right? And so my Zabarma friend may also understand it. But all of us will understand the Hausa, and we'll communicate, and then we'll live together with that. It gave us that common, it was a common.
Is there any literature that kind of talks about this rich culture and history you're talking
there's
about?
A lot of it. There's
Really?
a lot of it.
I even have one, I think.
Yeah, there's a lot of it that tracks the evolutions of Zongo. There's one that was written by Ambassador Barry. I've forgotten the title. And then there are some of it as well that are stuck in oral history. When you spend a longer time, lately I spend a lot of time with elders, where you go to them. I mean, on days that I'm not too busy, there are some few specific elders that I'll go to and sit with.
I do that.
Yeah, I do that with my dad a lot. And I know my dad enjoys it as well. So when he doesn't see me for a long time, he's always worried and calling me. He gets a particular time, he orders me and says, he just calls me. When he calls me outside, he says, Baba, Nakeke. I tell him that it doesn't matter whatever you are doing. He says, I'm looking for you now, come now. Wow. If you say it's some emergency, you go and it's like, there's this thing that he's thinking. He wants to discuss it with you. Then you get into the conversation. That 1, 2 hour, 3 hour, it's rich.
Yeah, exactly.
It's rich. Like the things he leaves you with. It gets to a particular point where both of you are in like some zone. Yeah. He's on some level telling you
it's
things.
A passing of the torch.
Yeah, so it's like, you take a lot. And then that's when, and also because of the political process, you are always spending time with elders. You're visiting them, you're seeking direction, you're seeking guidance, because you're having to deal with a lot of people, different personalities, different approaches. And so there's a need for you to carefully and thoughtfully weave in and out of people and maintain that balance. And the trick to doing that sits with the elders. They had still life.
That's a tip.
For real.
Yeah, Chai. So Sadiq, so you had to leave everything behind. Entertainment, all what you've helped build, everything. You had to leave everything behind to
leave it in the hands of other competent individuals.
To enter politics.
Right.
Why do you want to be a politician, especially from the place that we are from, you know, even though we don't say, even though we are afraid to speak it publicly, we know how politicians.
Literally, we are tolerant.
You
say it every time on social
yeah,
media.
you know how politicians have treated
you
us.
want to say that there's a mistrust for politicians.
Yeah, why have you decided to enter politics?
I think I evolved into it. And again, it's interesting that it started from the world of entertainment. At a certain point, become a focal person in where I'm coming from in Fadama, Bemo. And in my constituency, that where I come from, that lecture area is known as Bemo, but we call it Fadama. And when I became a focal person, also because being born there, being raised from there, growing up, I began to do well in the media, and I became a source of pride for my compatriots, the community.
Role model, kind of thing, yeah.
And then there was a suggestion by some of them, it was about 14 years ago, or 13 years ago, there was a suggestion by some of the young people that, since I'm in the entertainment industry, every year when they are doing the Salah Carnival, for instance, every year when there's Salah, they have to go all the way to Nima and all the way to other places for source of entertainment and the social cultural processions. I mean, why can't we do the same here? You have everything it takes to make it happen for us. Do some for us.
They were right.
You understand? So I began to, and they told us about how the previous year they had gone there was a fight, one boy was stabbed, and they didn't, they want to stay home and enjoy their thing. They want to be in their zone.
Right.
So I began to process it, and I did the first one for them. Then the next year, I did the second one for them. Then gradually, by doing that, or by listening to them and providing that leadership and making sure that things they want is done, then they began to turn to me for a lot of things. So if they turn to you for, as young people, we want to do like clean up events, then you take the lead in helping them put it together. We want to do this, you take the lead in putting them together. So with time, you became more or less like a young opinion leader of sorts, who they will come to for things to be done, and it's done. Who they will come to for a certain level of support, and you seek it or go the extra mile to make things happen. So I think from that point, they began to identify that leadership skills. Then in 2021, myself and Correx and a few of us, I've always been a keen supporter and fanatic of the NDC, and particularly in my constituency, I've been a member of the party.
Okay.
I've been from 2018. So in 2020, we were called into a meeting, and Correx put it together. And before we went to the meeting, Correx Omar asked me and others to put together like a small presentation of the kind of industry we would want to see, or how we would want the state to enable the creative industry.
Okay.
And its connections to the tourism and culture.
Right.
So I put together this presentation, and we went to meet the former president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, and Chief of Staff and a couple of others. And then we did some presentation. And the former president was impressed.
Okay.
In fact, at the point, he had questioned why we're not involved, or why we're not involved in some of the things, because here we were active industry practitioners with a lot of knowledge about our industry, and a lot of knowledge about the governance process and how it could be leveraged to provide relief to the industry.
Okay.
So then we were asked to support the manifesto committee when it was formed, to write the manifesto and make contributions to the tourism, art, and culture part of it.
Okay.
And then we did. So when it was done, and there was a need to publicize the manifesto, there was a new strategy that emerged from the NDC that, no, contrary to the way things had been done previously, where you had the general party communicators communicate each and everything in the manifesto, it was time to have the specialist communicate it.
Okay.
Because they understand it was like almost second nature to them. So I was appointed one of the spokespersons for the arts, the tourism, art, and culture.
Okay.
You know, and that gave me opportunity to speak for the party on different forums, including the debates that I had. That showed my competencies to the world. And so the more I did that, the more I gained a certain prominence within my party as somebody that understands his industry, somebody understands how the governance process could be leveraged to enable the industry, somebody that understands societies and how to create the needed social impact. You know, and it was very public. So here it was where I'd gone to do something from a professional perspective and got appointed to do something for my party. Plus the fact that I've been evolving as a young community leader of a sort for some time, doing activities and doing things for my community. So right after the 2020 elections, knowing that I was part of the party, the constituency, and that's my constituency, a few of them approached me to say to me that perhaps they think that if I run on the ticket of my party and the constituency, it was going to, it's going to be good for the party.
Right.
So I processed it. I thought about it true and true. I ran my own research. I had 2 different research companies running research in the constituency, identifying what needs to be done, identifying the various voting blocks, the perspectives, and what could make us win, the numbers, polling station by polling station. What are some of the things that needs to change? These are things that I spend my money on. You know, and so all of that, after processing all of that, I came to the conclusion that I need to run to be able, because I know what's within me. I know how, when I'm passionate about things, the extent to which I go in making it happen.
Okay.
Things that I've done, similar to what I've done in the media and entertainment industry. And so, all of that evolved and then underscored my intention to want to run, to continue to provide the impact and the effects that I've had on my people.
So what do you think or feel your focus is with politics, and what are you trying to accomplish?
So starting from my constituency, there are different strands of what I want to achieve, but chief amongst them is trying to provide a sustainable livelihood for my constituents. That's one. And in a more practical way, without necessarily having to wait for central government to provide the building blocks to it. And then also, I feel that there has to be some specific social infrastructure that will create their own economic systems around it.
Okay.
That will boost prosperity in the community. So one, when I say sustainable livelihoods, what do I mean? There are a number of people in the constituency that, whether they are engaged in an activity or not, they are not gainfully employed.
Right.
You know, they go and come, but this going and coming, they go and come. They are earning so little they can't really sustain
Hand to
mouth.
hand to mouth.
Yeah.
You know, and at their level, sometimes you'll be surprised. They need as little as what you would joke with to enable them.
Yeah.
That's one. Again, beyond the whole idea of connecting them or providing job placement for them, you'll be shocked that there are a lot of young people. The informal sector is big and provides a lot of value, right?
Right.
There are a lot of young people that can create a whole sustainable lifestyle from practical, hand-based works. But you'll be shocked that the limiting factor between them and achieving that dream is some 200, 300, 400 cities. That what they call utrinsa. You know, so somebody is there, she wants to become a hairdresser.
Right.
We know of a lot of hairdressers that have moved on to sustain their families themselves and build things.
Yeah.
We know of today, look, it used to be looked down upon But I know a makeup artist that makes almost about 80,000 cities monthly.
Yeah.
And in December, she's overbooked. You know, go get them.
Mm-hmm.
The girl she's trained, she's got to spread them for them to be able to make some of the money. You understand? So, in terms of providing sustainable livelihood, the whole idea is to harmonize that plan around what I call a job center.
Okay.
A venue that becomes the point where activities related to placement of jobs for people that will create the sustainable livelihood of them is done. Same venue where trainings are done to the point where in a year, if every quarter you're going to provide different models of training for young members of your constituents, and in every quarter you're going to train 100, in a year you're going to have what, 400. In 4 years you're going to have 1,600 members, young members of your community, having learned a thing or two that could set them up for life. And then on top of it, all you need to do is provide them the needed excuse my language, grant and the necessary tools to enable them begin their careers and build it up from there.
Okay.
Right? And then obviously the same venue also becomes the point where you can direct the grants and the loans and the business support that you can offer people. Whether we like it or not, there are about 40 people in my constituency that are selling cocoa. And you realize that almost about half of them are engaged in the pay-as-you-go service, because from the beginning of the trade 10 years ago, she had to go and loan the millet. And so she's in a cycle where she's having to always prepare it and pay back, prepare it and pay back, prepare it and pay back. To the point where when she's hit with a major emergency, it will be difficult to be able to take care of it.
Right.
Now, the avenue to creating for her at her level, the avenue to creating that liberating effect is by taking away that particular debt, either by giving her the funds for it, or either by providing her that particular product.
Okay.
You know, and so there are different levels to it. Beyond that as well, there are major people in the constituency that are also traders and do not have the profile to be able to assess the loans and the grants they can access, flexible loans to be able, for them to be able to put into their business to expand. Okay. But you and I know that generally when they expand in your constituency, when a businessman, the brilliant entrepreneur has more money, what they do is from the business, what they do is they expand. When they expand, definitely they are going to employ more people. Yeah. And so beyond the value of passing on knowledge, there's also the other part where they're creating employment for others in the constituency. And then there are certain needed social infrastructure works that do not only cater to the immediate needs of the constituency, but it has other derivative value as well. So my constituency, for instance, doesn't have a modern public hospital.
Okay.
Something like Lekma Hospital. It's a peri-urban constituency. There's a lot of more people there. When you think about it in that particular time, a hospital in a particular location as Okaiki Central does not only cater to the health needs of the people, but it also becomes an economic system in a way. So, Mutombo, for instance, we know there's Kanishi Polyclinic here. Mutombo will probably tell you that in the beginning when he was growing up here, now when you go on your line on the road, you see the number of laboratory services and services related to health and all of those things, that value chain that is here. It didn't used to be the case. I'm sure you could count just about P&T pharmacy pay at the top. Right? Yeah. And then the one at the roundabout here. Maskins.
Victoris.
Yes.
Victoris and Maskins.
Yes. So now Victoris is the one that came here now.
Victoris was here back in the day and they left and they came back.
They came back. But now they are here on the road. Beyond that as well, you see the laboratory services that they're in and around the hospital. Yeah. Beyond that, right opposite the hospital, the woman that will sell the cocoa. Yeah. And the woman that sells chibom and all of those things. Yeah. And then there's somebody actually even selling containers.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. For the stool test and all that.
The stool test. Yeah. And then there's others as well that are selling other things, gloves, marks, whatever. That's an economic system in a way. And interestingly, all these people that are providing all these services, they are staying here. They're living here. So if you're able to create such and I say to everybody, these are ideas where if you know your way, you could convince people with money, right? There are a lot more organizations with money to having to create that for you, particularly when you have the plan, without necessarily having to wait for the central government. That is where we've gotten to. We've gotten to the point where we do not have to wait on the overburdened
central government
resource envelope to be able to do some of the needed things that you need to do for the constituency. And particularly if you're somebody like me that have a history of turning all your experiences, insights, and understandings into leveraging all of that into creating value for a particular space, then you know that you are at that particular point where we need to do some of these things to be able to drive prosperity in the constituency.
Dope. I mean, it's good that you are, well, maybe because you want to be a member of parliament, so you have to speak for the community, for the constituency, right? And it makes your work quite easy and quite, achievable. Yeah. But we've had young people like you who have come up in the past and say beautiful things, nice things like you are saying now. How different are you from these people?
The difference
is it because of your track record?
Well, the track record just gives you an idea of my capabilities and competence, most importantly. But I think that the approach is very important. A number of the young people that came off were brilliant and had ideas and the foresight to be able to do all the things that will create value for society. Most of the ideas were spot on. But they fell into the same trap that a lot of forebears had fallen into, which is to rely on the overburdened research employed to make it happen. It won't work. There has to be a whole new model of how to make it work. Once you get stuck within the system and the way it is structured now, it becomes difficult to achieve that in time. And the people now, having not had certain things for a long time, are impatient. They cannot wait 2 more, 3 more, 4 more election cycles to get things that were promised for them or things that were promised for them for just within one election cycle. You understand? So that's what creates the problems. But if we can begin to think around how do we go about, for instance, I believe that if we secure the land and I put my own personal investment without having to wait for the central government to plan the entirety of the land to say, okay, that's how we do it in entrepreneurship, right? So if I've got this building and I want it to grow into a 100-bed hospital, the plan for the 100-bed hospital out and out should be clear from the design, the drawings, and everything. Even if we are going to say that, just like the schools were built, even if we are going to say that it's going to start with just one piece of block here. So you know how in hospitals, they measure it with the beds. So we want to start the public hospital from a 10-bed. Right. And obviously within 2 years or within 5 years, we're expecting that it will grow into a 60 to 70 bed. And then out of it, aside my own initial funding of this and that, I'm looking to go out of my way with permission to be able to raise funds from all these people that can be pushed into this. That is known where that's more transparent to the people, that's going to be pushed into this. In similar ways where somebody has been able to attract that support, because a lot of it is across the world. I'm sure if you speak to all these climate change organizations, say you're going to build the first sustainable and a green climate focused hospital to become a test case for how things should be done, or how hospitals should be built in Africa. I'm sure there will be that kind of funding that you can get to start off with the initial works. Right? And so these knowledge are things that needs to start to come together. But if we are having to get caught in the status quo, which is, okay, get into the system, and then when you get into the system, again, use the same system. Like in the ministry, I told a lot of them, the members of the ministry, I say, a number of these multinational companies are looking to come into Africa. I don't know for the life of me why the Ministry of Tourism, Art and Culture, for instance, doesn't know the skates. What's the place called? It's called Activate. The skates, a Freedom Park.
Yeah, Freedom Park. Yeah.
You know, and the opportunities it provides for creatives in the industry.
Yeah.
And even for tourism-based activities. You understand? There should be, from a policy perspective, that organization that's coordinating all of these moves into this country by the likes of Spotify, Apple Music, Boomplay, and all these multinationals that are looking to creating that platforms that enables industry. So that thinking can go into industry. That's the approach where you use your knowledge and your insight, and now that you're sitting in politics, to bring that to bear in terms of how you can bring your relationship and your network and what they are looking to do to provide them that enabling effect, to provide the value that your research envelope can't do. Because your research envelope can't go around creating studios across the country. But these companies are looking and can create those studios. Sometimes they are looking for access. They are looking for that support network. They are looking for that assurance that as a government, as and when there are little hitches on that, we'll be quick in resolving it and standing with you all the way till it gets off the ground. That is the approach that needs to change. That's it.
Baba Sadiq, Charlie, we thank you for coming on the podcast, the If More Let's Divide podcast, right?
Yeah. It's been
How
a
you see
dope
the
one.
conversation?
Insightful. I enjoyed
Charlie,
the traditional. We
have woven through everything.
To different areas.
Charlie, Sadiq, Charlie.
But we have to have part 2. Tomo, put them down. Are they holding feet
Part
to the fire?
2.
Are they holding feet to the fire? Make we get into.
Yeah, Charlie Sadiq, thank you for coming
conversation.
through, taking time off your busy schedule to
Yes,
come
sir.
through for the podcast. If More Let's Divide, and we are through.
You already know.
No, wait. Charlie, you guys should do us a favor by following us on social media, by sharing this podcast with your friends, and by leaving us a review on any platform that you use to listen to your podcast, and it will go a long way to help the podcast. Thank you so much, and we thank you for listening. We are out.
Peace.